let's begin warming up. There we are. A little bit of foot movement as usual. Breathe a little bit deeper. Maybe starting to think about how your body feels today. Just an overall, maybe a word springs to mind. No matter what the word is, just go with that. That's how it feels. It is what it is, right? Starting to circle the ankles in each direction. Really good stuff.
Susie's in the, it's clean, it's in the dishwasher.
So give the ankles a good circle. And good morning, Anne, joining us from her holiday in Wales. Very lovely to see you. See, that's the beauty about this, is you can be wherever you are. That's a good thing. Good circles in each direction. And then paying attention to the right foot. If I turn sideways, I just want you to lift and lower the heel and just check out what that pain-free range is. Gently pressing the toes into the mat or the ground, whatever you're standing on. And then as you lift the heel, see if you can do a little wiggle, maybe from the little toes to the big toe. Doesn't have to be mad. I'm just actually wiggling my knee, so just doing a little wiggle there. And then let's try the same on the left side, so lifting and lowering. And really, I mean, I've got a painful toe on this side, and I'm reminding myself, resist the temptation to go into the pain. So even though there's a part of me that's going, oh, I can lift higher than that surely, when I lift too high, yeah, pain kicks in, and we want to avoid that. And then lifting and doing a wiggle. And now let's take the feet down and lift and spread the toes open, lift and spread the toes. If it helps to spread the fingers as well, because sometimes it's quite a natural sensation to want to spread the fingers as well as the toes, then do that, that's fine. Let's see if we can activate the toes individually, which simply means can you to go from the little toe to the big toe. And actually, you might not want to look at your toes doing that, because sometimes they do something very different to what you think you're doing. Maybe, maybe not. And so lifting the toes and thinking little toe down and going all the way through to the big toe. So there's no judgment, it's just trying to get the mind body working a little bit more to send the signals to the toes. And then, why don't I do this way first? This is the easier way. And then let's see if we can do the big toe down through to the little toe. Big toe down through to the little toe. So it all starts, the movement starts in the brain. And yeah, getting those connections going a little bit more helps. So big toe to little toe. Just defaulted to the easier way myself. Just notice if that happens. And let's do one more each side. Big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, baby toe, and last time. Okay. Let's go then with a small bounce. So as you do the bounce, particularly if you did the foot and hip workshop, then you'll know to keep your weight evenly on each foot throughout. Anything that resembles any kind of a squat. So we make the move a little bit bigger. Just thinking about the tripod, weight under each foot. Let's do 4 more like that. However big or small, it's all good. 3 more. 2. And then last one. Nice. Let's take the feet wider and then start to just move the hips side to side. The legs can be straight, or you can go for a little bend if you wish. It doesn't look any different from the front, but from the side, there's the straight leg and there's the bend. There's the horses for the second time today. And then change that to a circle. And again, you can try this time with the bent leg first of all. Just see what kind of size you can get. And then straight legs. Being aware of tightness. And yeah, just being aware of tightness. Go the other way. Because the tightness is often, it's not the issue, it's either above or below, often, not completely. If it's fascia that's tight, it's almost like the equivalent of, if you've got tightness in a fascia, you're kind of twisting up the skin and then that pulls everything else down. So it could be fascial tightness, which can also come from emotional pain. Straight legs if you can. And then easing up out of that, keeping your feet where they are, pulling in the tummy a little bit. We're going to go into a diagonal move. Did I say that right? The diagonal move on your slide. I don't know whether you can see that looks any different, but you're going towards the front of the right knee and towards the back of the left knee. Again, staying in your pain-free range. Just think about something nice that you'd like to do. If you were given a day off completely, what would you do? So think about that. Something that makes you smile. I'd love to have that magic wand and give you all a day to do something you want to do. And then let's change the diagonal, so down towards the front of the left knee. Just being aware, just sort of in the back of your mind, if either of those moves feel significantly different. Just having that awareness. How is that? Breathe deep. And then coming out of that, give the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Take the hands behind the head. Again, pull in the back of the tummy. So the elbows are wide. So you might have your fingertips to your ears, doesn't matter, but so let your elbows be wide. And now see what happens as you lift your elbows up to the ceiling. Inhale, center, exhale. Maybe look at your elbow. Notice what you notice. Inhale and exhale. And one more each side. And then extending out the arms, roll the shoulders back, lift up the chest, and exhale, soften. You might want to bring the feet in a little bit as you do this. So it's inhale, lift the chest, drop the shoulders, and exhale, soften. So remember to be aware of pulling the back of the tummy in, just really try and encourage the movement further up the back. The more we're strong here, the less we're going to arch. And exhale, soften. Two more. Inhale, lift. Feel your collarbones lift, lift, lift. And exhale, soften. And last one, get to give yourself a hug. Inhale, lift, shoulders down, tummy in. And exhale, soften and hug. And let's go to rolling the shoulders next. And really get the shoulders through their full range of motion. So they come forward, they go up, they go back, they go down, and then you can circle around that point, around those points. Not always necessary to make the movement bigger, but I do like an elbow lift. Just adds to the stretch through in and around the chest muscles, the shoulder muscles. Really getting the shoulder blades moving. And let's go the other way, starting maybe a little bit smaller. It might be crunching, it might be clicking. And then making the movement a little bit bigger if you can. Breathe really deep. Last one. And down. Okay, so keeping your feet probably about shoulder width is good, getting the weight even on each foot. Start by just flinging your arms around you. I don't know if that's the best term, but they feel quite weighty, and you might feel across your back you're just doing a little bit of a kidney, what's the word? Think of the word. Just waking up your kidneys, really. And then maybe start turning your head. Hips stay fairly square. If it makes you feel dizzy, keep the head facing forward. And then start turning the rest of your body. Take the arms wider. Doesn't have to be this quick. It just feels quite right today to be this little bit more energetic, but yours might be slower, and that's fine. But turn your head, turn your hips. So you can slow that right down, lifting the heel and turn and look all the way around behind you. Slow, 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 slow. Slowing, slowing. Last one, slowing. And then back. Nice. Okay. So now bring the attention to the shoulders, lifting them up and rolling them slightly back and down. So feel you're quite open across the top of the chest and the collarbone area. Pull in the lower ribs slightly and the back of the tummy slightly. And imagine your head is getting closer to the ceiling. You're keeping your feet grounded, connected to whatever you're standing on. You're getting taller. And from that position, turn your head. Notice if it's caused any strain in the neck, and if it has, slightly soften. And really use your eyes with this so that your eyes actually see everything that you are turning your head in front of. If that makes sense. So you're seeing everything across the landscape. Keep the back of the neck long. And then turn your eyes a little bit further around as you turn your head. So your head stops first and your eyes continue looking. One more each side. So you're just taking in everything that you're seeing. And then as you gradually come out of that one, you're going to bring your head back through to the center. And we'll do something similar, taking the head up and down. You might want to blink or shake your head a moment. So it's inhale, lifting the head up. When your head stops, then you let the eyes continue. So just, as always, watch out that you're not letting the head collapse back down. That's quite a lot of pressure for the small vertebrae at the top of the spine. So maybe imagine that you've got a very thick scarf on around your neck and it's not letting your head drop back. So we bring the chin in and down, and see if your eyes can continue looking backwards in towards your body a bit more. And then inhaling up, head lifts, continue with the eyes. As long as it doesn't make you feel too weird, let's bring the chin in and down, and one more each side, each way. And bring the head back through the centre, blink a few times, take a breath. So I'm going to take my glasses off for this. I'm going to circle the eyes around, so maybe 3 times in each direction. See how you feel. So keeping the head really still, you might need to actually physically hold your head because it's surprising how easy it is to move your head. So if you take your eyes to Doesn't matter which direction you go, but see what you can see as you do the circle all the way around. I'm going to try and keep my head still. If there's any bits of the circle that you miss out, just notice. And then go the other way, maybe blink a few times in the middle. You can really feel your eyes stretching, your eye muscles working, which is a good thing. Come back through to the centre, definitely blink, maybe yawn, give the head a little bit of a shake. Okay, so anything else? I think that's good. We can roll down. So let's start with the feet slightly wider than normal, so maybe shoulder width or a little bit wider, and see what this roll down feels like. So when you're ready, reaching up, circling. Remember to give yourself permission if you find a place that doesn't feel like it's very far in and you want to stop there, that it's okay to stop there, it doesn't matter. Just really notice what your body wants. So doing your roll down your way, allowing yourself to just come up nice and easily. And then when you do the second one, maybe bring the feet in a little bit more and make sure you're weighting your feet evenly. So I didn't say that the first one, so let's see what it's like really getting the weight even on each foot. Maybe noticing partway down that you say, oh gosh, right, I've shifted my weight from my right to my left. And you might not even have that as such a conscious thought, but just being aware, there's a shift, can I get it back? It's retraining. And just allow it to flow. We'll probably do 2 more. Bringing the feet a little bit closer if you wish. It's always an invitation. Yeah. Even the weight on each foot. And letting it flow, bring yourself back up, and even noticing on the way back up if there's a tendency to default to one leg. The more we notice that, then the more we can do something about it, right? So this is the last one. Feet might be hip width, they might be closer. That's fine, just allow the flow of movement. Nice. And then as you come up, moving my mat, we're going to do, we've got a few lunges today, and that also will include some balance work. So to do lunges, you can stand at the back of your space and be stepping forward, or you can stand at the front of your space and stepping back. So if there's any issues with balance, this is the easier one to do. So let's just see, alternating legs. Just trying out your lunge. So imagine you've got a glass of water on your head and you're keeping really upright so the shoulders stay over the hips. So at the moment it's all about the lower body moving. And as you do this, just take a moment to notice the plant of the front foot, whichever way you're doing. Just notice, can you get those 3 points of your foot really connected? So that means we are slowing it down. Also means the knee is more likely to be going in its correct position, the most efficient position, which is directly forward. And then if you wish, You can experiment with making that a little bit deeper if you wish. You might not wish. And then take a brief pause after you've done those. So you might notice that the thigh muscles work quite a lot in this. We're going to then go with the right leg forward. You can take a staggered stance there. That means both feet are flat, but you see they're slightly bent in the knees. Or you can be in a lunge. Can't keep your balance. You can be in a lunge position. Okay. Alternate my foot. There we go. So in a lunge position, gently pull in the back of the belly button. Just feel there's a bit more core connection, nice and vertical. You want to stay here for a little bit. The arms go parallel, shoulders down, strong with the arms. We're going to rotate the arms open. So stay facing forward. So right arm, left arm. We're going to do 4 pairs. So you're reaching back with one arm, keep the other one strong, fingers pointing to the front. Exhale, open. Inhale, return. Exhale, open. Inhale, return. So the shoulders are down and we're doing this rotating, opening movement. Good. Now maybe the legs are telling you something by now. And then you're stepping forward or back, whichever's easiest, and then changing legs. So we're going to do the same thing with the left foot forward. Just take a moment to get your positioning in the back of the tummy, grow tall, arms strong. And then reaching back. So getting the back of the shoulder working a little bit, encouraging a tiny bit of rotation in the spine, and also working, opening the front of the hip and working that front thigh. Just be aware of the foot connection. I've completely lost count now. Your own counting is fine, of about 4 pairs. Oh, I'd put there times 10. That's a bit ambitious, isn't it? Give the legs a little bit of a shake. I don't think we'll do that. But we are going to do something else in the lunge position. So in this lunge, does that work like that? Yeah. In this lunge position, I'm going to give an alternative as well. In this lunge position, can you lean forward and take your weight onto your right leg? So the back leg is now straight. I want you to straighten that leg. So you can bend that back knee and straighten, bend the back knee and straighten, or tap in and straighten. So to get the shoulders down. I know we tend to want to drop the head here, but see if you can lift up through the upper part of the chest. Now your leg is going to tell you when to stop, and it's going to be somewhere between about 6 and 10. The more still you can keep your weight on your right leg, the harder it's going to be. It's going to be a little bit easier to move forward and move back. But if you keep super still and you get to notice something in this region working, you may already have needed to stop. Now I would, if the legs are shake. So the 2 variations are, so now it's your left leg, you've got your weight on your bent left leg, and you're either bending and straightening that back leg, little bend, little straighten, or you're tapping in, tapping back. And just get the shoulders down, head lifted a little bit, somewhere between 6 and 10. Oh, it's a lovely thing, isn't it? Oh, I'm just going to shut this curtain because a little bit too much sun there. Okay, so your own count, your body will tell you, yeah, that's the one. When it's time to stop, you go, oh, ouch, in the hips. So maybe the thighs, maybe the hips, a little bit of both, I'm guessing. A little bit of both. Okay. So now, I'm sorry if you came to Pilates in the park, because actually I didn't realise how similar it was to this. We're going to do a balance challenge. Actually, no, I'll do a different one. Let's go with yes, I know that's what we can do. we're going to be widthways on, is that way? No, lengthways on, that's what I'm trying to say. Take the weight onto your best leg. So if you're really going to lift the other foot off, then tap the foot in and tap it out. So grow tall. You can do what you like with your hands, pulling the back of the tummy. And this standing leg is I don't know if you can even see that. So that is a lock. A locked leg is when your leg sort of pushes back, and a slightly bent leg is what we want to have, ever so slightly. But not really bent, but not really straight, somewhere in between. We can add on to this one to add a leg lift, a little bit of a leg lift. So we can go from tapping in to leg lift, or tap in, tap out. You take a break when you need to. Keep breathing. If you're happy to, you're going to lift and hold the leg, or you've got the toe down. You're going to open the arms, palms forward, roll the shoulders back and down, and now turn towards this. You're going to turn towards your standing leg side. I know everyone's going to be different here. So if you're standing on your right, you turn to your right. If you're standing on your left, you turn to your left. I call this big clap. Somewhere around 4 or 5. Hopefully you're wobbling enough to know that you're working. Whoops. Remember, turning your head adds to the difficulty, and when you get the signal from your leg, please make it stop, then that's your cue to stop. And then give the legs a little bit of a shake. So now we do the same on the other side. So taking the weight on this other leg, just really pressing the foot into the floor. Do what you like with your hands. And you tap in, tap out, tap in. Now this leg might need a little bit more support around the buttock gluteal area, so maybe squeezing that. If you're happy to go from the tap out to a lift, might even be a tiny little lift. You tap in and lift. Trying to keep upright, so leaning over, which is what we want to do. This is why this hip will probably be shouting. Grow taller, take the breaks when you need to. When you're ready, you either tap and hold or lift, arms open, roll the shoulders, big clap. I'm going to come and see what you're doing, not because I'm not wanting to do the work myself, but just to see how you're doing. It's a good get out clause, yes. Something in your body will tell you when it's time to stop. Keep breathing. So remember, facing forwards, a bit more stable, turning, wobble. So it's coming up to a natural finish. Or some of you are still going. So if you're still going, just wrapping it up. Did you feel that somewhere, somehow? Yes. I can tell from some faces there you did. Okay. So before we go down to the ground, we're going to do a bit of stretching for the front of the thigh. So either holding on to your trouser leg or your ankle, or if you've got a chair that you can hold on with, you can pop your foot on the chair to get into the front of the thigh. Ideally, bring your knees together. I'm not sure you can see that. Let's go like this. Ideally, bring your knees fairly close together. And you can hold onto your ear as well. That's helps with the balance. See if you can grow a fraction taller. Feel that additional stretch. And then let's do the same on the other side. If you need to stay longer on this side, then do. Generally speaking, if you don't feel a stretch much, sometimes that slight changing in positions will help. But it's also staying a little bit longer. So grow a little taller, take a longer breath. And then we'll stretch out the hips later. And I think we've got 3 more sessions left before the last 2 weeks of August, which I'm taking off. So we will do another spiky ball session in one of those 3 sessions. I think you like them. I know there's still, I've kept the one that we did before, but I think we'll do some more spiky ball work, certainly before the end of this turn, which I don't know if there is such a thing as turns of this block. Turns are not what they used to be anymore, are they? So let's come down to the mat. So adjust your camera if you need to. Grab some water. I'll see if I can get some more light now. It seems to have gone. My lighting technician has gone on holiday. I wish I had one. Bring yourself to the ground. Have a rest. So the next one, so there's quite a bit of work for the glutes today, inadvertently. The next one is the rotating star, and I know some of you know this, and if you know it, you can go straight into the sort of the final version if you want, but go in slow, come back out slow. Otherwise, as usual, I'll layer it up, but first I'm going to show you the end result. I think yoga people do this as well as Pilates does it differently, or did it differently. I tend to break it down a lot more, as you may have guessed by now. But with the rotating star, the end result is to be, we're going to do it on knees. There is a variation where you do it in a plank position, in this position, and you can be in this position as strong as you like. So this is the end position, which I'm just showing. You don't have to do this right now, but it's the getting there. Being there is fine. It's the getting there and getting back, and doing that with control. So let's go into building up. If you know it, we're going to do about between 4 and 6 on each side. Take the breathers when you need to. Obviously, it also depends on how your wrist is. You can do this in standing as well, against the wall, so it's not so load bearing. So go on your easiest side first. So from here, if you take the toes back to the floor, that's always going to give you a bit more support. And you can start simply by taking that hand off the floor and just seeing what that's like to shift onto one side. The shoulder is strong, you're pushing into the ground, and you're simply bringing the elbow back, which in itself might be tricky. So that's the first one. Don't be tempted to come back down really quickly, so it's all very deliberate and conscious. The toes to the floor, and next we try and straighten out that arm. So you're trying to take your chest to the front and opening out, and then slowly bringing yourself back down. It's fine to wobble. And then the next one, you're going to turn your head if that works for you. So it is, and actually there's a benefit to doing the slow, easier things. Turning your head to look at your hand, top hand. What is that like? I'm wobbling like a wobbly thing. So really reach through the fingers. And then the final one, which we can do as slowly as we like if you want to, if that's right, to take the toes off the floor so that support leg has been taken away. It's hovering in midair. And you're trying to just gently open out a little bit more. When you get there, can you do a fraction more, a millimetre even? Breathe, strong, reaching through everything that's off the floor. And then super slow back down. And then if you want to have a little breather before you do the other side, yeah, no, yes, no, some do, some don't. That's fine. Yes, it's the wrists, isn't it? Wrists might need a bit. The more we do, the stronger we get through the wrists. So our grannies would have done lots of scrubbing of the floors and doing physical work for housework and cleaning and washing and all the rest of that. We end up doing rotating star and planks and press ups and things. So when you're on the second side, how are you doing, Ruth? I can see your arm moving and you're looking very deliberate, so that is looking good to me. How are you doing, Wendy? Yeah, good. Oh yes, Wendy, take that foot off the floor. Yeah, good. Vanessa, you look like you're working. I can see some signs of working there. Liz, how is that on your wrist? Take the breaks when you need to. I see that, yeah. Gradually building up the strength, I hope, both Liz and Mary Jane. Jenny just kept going through. You didn't have a break, Jenny, well done. And I love that you're resisting the temptation. Looks good, Anna. Hello, Anna. And I love that you're resisting the temptation to come back down quickly as well. That is good. It is all good. Sarah Jane, I love your room. Actually, it's interesting. You and Sarah side by side have got the similar colours in your room. It looks really good. Brenda, looking good in the sunshine. So you've probably nearly done. If you haven't already, I can see a couple of you still going. Still going. And then do have a breather. Let's give the wrists some love. However you are seated or kneeling or in rest position, just give your wrists a bit of love. Maybe thank your wrists. Probably not thought about thanking your wrists, but thank them for supporting you. Thank you, wrists, for doing such a great job. Okay, so I've got the clam. Can we do some clam? Oh yeah, let's do some clam. We'll do clam and internal, external of the hip as well. Now, do we need to do that first? No. Okay, I'm going to go with right side, lying down. If you've got a cushion handy for under your head, great, otherwise cradle your head. So I like to use the back of the mat as a guide. So the hips and feet are touching the back edge of the mat as best possible. So that gives you this 135 degree from the torso to the knee. I think that's the right. If anyone's a mathematician and wants to tell me different, then do, but I think that's about the right. This is 90 and that's 135-ish. So remember, when we lie here, we kind of collapse in the waist. So that's one of the first things to do, to push the hips. You might notice you've got a bit of a gap now, but you also might notice your core has just automatically tightened up somewhat, pulling in the ribs. And from there, you can keep your feet where they are and lift and lower. We'll aim to do up to 10 of these. But it may be that you don't need to do so many. And if you're thinking by now, I'm not really feeling it, now lift your feet up. Remember to keep long through the waist, and now lift and lower. It's a greater range of movement. We've done quite a bit for the hips. Doing my checks. And if you're still not doing it, we're going to finish with a tiny little pulse, about 10 little pulses. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you got some sign from your gluteal muscles. Give your hip either a rub or, as I call it, a clop, which is not flat-handed smacking, but soft-handed. It sounds like a clop. Clip clop. So move that underneath leg a little bit further away, again long through the hips. This time we're going to bring the knee down to the front and the knee up to the back. So the toe, your back toe may or may not touch the floor. Trying to keep still through the upper body. This is called a kiss. Heel and toe kisses. Why is it called a heel kiss? I've no idea. Heel up to the ceiling maybe. Knee up to the ceiling. And now you might go, okay, I've already done 3 and I'm really feeling it. That's your sign to stop. Otherwise you hopefully can all understand what that one is. I know a lot of you know this one, but it's knee to the front and knee up to the back, knee down to the front, knee up to the back. Trying not to roll through the upper body is part of the trick. Working on the internal and external rotators of the hip. So, oh, some of you are still going. That's very impressive. I'll let you finish up the last, oh good, there we go. Last couple. Yes, give that hip a little bit of love. Before we move on to the other side, we're going to open the door, but in a slightly different way. So normally, if you're lying on your side, cradling your head, you open the door with a straight arm. And you're looking where your hand is going. This time, I want you to do a bow and arrow arm. So you're going to pull the elbow back and then maybe straighten the arm out. So it looks a bit different. You're going to reach forward with that straight arm, smush your face. So it's going to be a face plant into the ground, like this. And then pull the elbow back as you turn. And then see if your arm wants to open out, it might not. It might just be here. That's fine. The shoulder is down. So that's, don't know if that helps to see it close up like that, but from a lying perspective, lying down, it's a glasses off one. Knees might want to be a bit further up. Smush, face plant, reach forward, and then elbow back, and then arm opens if you've got space. Bend, shoulder down. And see what it's like. You're getting a little bit more rotation. Maybe the hips move, maybe the knees slide, that's fine. You might get this on the underneath shoulder, that's fine. And then back. So always pain-free. And then let's finish up with this next one. About 4, right? Open out. Just stay open out. Maybe you need to bring the knees up. Maybe you need to let your head roll back. But just find a position where you've got some kind of stretch. If you haven't got a stretch, just bring your knees closer together and see how that feels. Breathe deep, exhale slow. And then you can either roll over to the other side. You'll know what to do because we've just done it. Or flip over, so you know what it is. And rolling is where you stay on your back and you turn your knees, and flipping is a sitting and flipping over. A roll or a flip. So we start with the clam. Start with the clam. Get yourself aligned as best you can without me there to prod you. So the hips, the feet, give you that 135 degrees. Push your hip, pull in the back of the ribs, and then see how your clam is on this side, lifting and lowering. Usually it's about the 4th one, you'll get the idea as to whether you're better off lifting your feet. Remember, keep long through the upper body. Lift and lower. You want to be feeling this ideally in the outside edge of the hip. You might feel it on the underneath side of the body as well. But generally speaking, the outside edge of the hip. Oh, I feel a bit stiff today. And if you put your hand on your hip here, you know, this is where you're going to be feeling it. So if my knee was bent and opening out, I'm feeling it right in here. That's where we're getting the spiky ball in a couple of weeks' time. If you're not feeling it yet, then pause and do a little tiny pulse. A few centimetres, lift, lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. You don't have to, but if you haven't quite got there yet, and you'll know what there is. When you get there, you always know, you're like, oh yeah, there's no question mark. Okay, and then resting. Give the hip a little bit of love. And a nice rub or a pop. I could do with a massage in my glutes for sure. And now we do the face plant, bow and arrow, Bringing the knees up a little bit more, see what it's like this side. So reaching forward, elbow back, opening out, and forward. And sometimes these slightly different variations make all the difference. You might go, oh, right, yeah, that helps with that. We also might say, gosh, no, that really hurts. All kinds of things come up. So as you get to about the fourth one, which you're probably nearly there, just stay in the stretch. If you haven't got a stretch, remember to just get your knees closer because your knees will slide apart. So if you bring your knees together and then turn, you might get something very different happening. Breathe really deep. And then from there, ease out of that, move to lie on your back. I'm just going to grab some water and we are going to do the rest lying down. You know the drill by now. And also do remember when we're lying down, if you found it comfortable having your little towel under your head or a little cushion, this is the time to have it. Okay, so first off, let's get the feet down, do a little bit of mobility for the hips, rocking forward and backwards. And experiment with the size of that. So letting the shoulders be really relaxed, tilting the hips forwards and backwards, maybe experimenting what a slightly bigger movement is like. And then try that with a little scoop side to side. So the knees stay fairly still. But what you might notice is the hip on one side lifts as the weight goes onto the other side. It's not the knees per se that move. It's trying to roll side to side as if your pelvis was a soup bowl and you're tipping the soup side to side. Again, just play with the size of the movement and see what feels best for your body to do. And then go with a circle, whatever that feels like for you, whatever imagery you like to use. I always like the roulette wheel, that really works for me. But if you feel something different, like a soup bowl, and you're just going all the way around the edge of the soup bowl. I know a lot of Pilates instructors use that bowl analogy. Go the other way as well. Keep the breathing a little bit deeper. Come to settle. Let's just tune in with the pelvic walking or knee walking. So one knee goes forward, the weight is into that foot, the knee goes forward, and then swapping, the other knee goes forward, the weight in that foot. So you're swapping the weight from the foot, knee goes forward, that side of the hip lifts. Once you've got that rhythm going, then make it smaller. So we go from a big movement to a smaller movement. And I know some of you know that there's almost this imperceptible movement, which is often really useful, but it looks like nothing is happening. Whatever size you're doing, whatever size movement you're doing, just notice if one side feels a lot freer than the other, and if that's the case, then you're focusing on the other. It's the other I want you to focus on, maybe another 6 to 8. Just allowing a little bit more movement on that side of your body. It's really important to have mobility. When we lose that, we lose stability. And even though we can be strong, if you don't have the mobility, it's nothing. You need to have the mobility first. Okay. From here, I'm going to do something different. Oh yes, I remember. I'm going to take the hands behind the head. And we did this a couple of weeks ago. It might even have been last week, where we were lifting the head just a little bit. So I'm going to get you to lift the head just a little bit. If you can stay in your neutral position, then full points, but otherwise the back can go softly into the mat. So just lift the head so you're hovering maybe 2 millimeters. And then you're going to take your elbow down towards the right. So I think your elbow is going to point towards your right ankle. Inhale through to the center and exhale, left elbow down, pointing towards the left ankle. And still only a few centimeters off the ground. I'm really having to hold my head. So rather than lifting here and your chin's jammed in and you're twisting there, you're looking up at the ceiling or the sky, depending on what you're looking at. And you're just taking your head to one side maybe, and then the other side. Now if it's straining on your neck, you're going to rest down in between and really try and lift your head with your arms and just do one pair, come back and down. Otherwise, maybe 2 or 3 pairs. So what we're doing is we're working into the waist muscles here. You probably feel working into the waist muscles. And then maybe if you're still going, have a breather, and we'll do 2 more pairs. But this time, as you take your right elbow towards your right ankle, that's the direction you're going to turn and look at your left elbow. Inhale, center, exhale, left elbow points towards the left ankle, and you'll turn and look up at your right elbow. As long as that doesn't feel too complicated. So you're reaching down towards one side, head up to the other side. Inhale, come back and exhale, last one, elbow down and looking up. And back to the center and down. Just turn your head side to side as you release your head. We often do that on, do you remember the balls, the green balls? Those nice squishy balls that we've done something like that on the ball. So turning the head. It's harder without. It's much harder without. So from here, we're going to bring the legs up to tabletop position. If this is too much with both legs, you're going to keep one foot down. Yeah, let's do that. So from here, so you can keep your right knee still and take your left leg out to the side. So if you're doing it with one leg, we're going to take, it's like a hip drop, but with the foot off the floor. We're going to go a little bit out to the side on one side and then back up. A little bit out to the side and then back up. Just check in with the setup, see if you can be in neutral, let the tummy drop. Inhale out and exhale back up, I think is the preferred way, but your breathing pattern might be different because each way has got its own challenge. Inhale out and exhale back up. Inhale out and exhale back up. Take your breather when you need to, either by coming in or taking the feet to the floor. I'm just going to keep going with this one. Just needed to check my shoulders, so maybe check in to see whether you need to do that too. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And now we do have a breather. I said we're going to keep going. Okay. We're back here. This time, I'm going to take your leg out to the side, bring the other leg, so maybe extending the arms out, bring the other leg alongside, then bring the second leg back up first, and then the first leg. So it goes, if it's right leg, you go right leg out, pause, left leg alongside, not too far that you're coming off the ground, pause, right leg, right leg, if that makes sense. So you're going out with one, out with the second, back with the second, back with the first. Out with one, okay. Out with the second, back with the second, back to the first. Let's see if we can do one more each side. Keep the shoulders down and breathe. And last one if you're still going. Out, out, back, and back. Whew. Have a little breather. And then we're going to go for full body stretch. So actually let's do a variation of that. Keep hold of your left leg and straighten your right leg. Unless that's not comfortable, in which case you put the left foot down. But if you can hold onto it, stretch that right leg. So flex the foot, point the toes to the ceiling. So you're stretching down into the hip. You might get that into the back as well. Gently pull your left leg in towards you. Increases the stretch. Breathe deep. And then if it's all right for you, it's not for me, so I'm going to go into a brief demo and then come out of it. So you're relaxing your right foot, bringing your left leg across. Actually, if like me, that's not comfortable because of tightness in the hip, if you push up into your right hand, if your right hand is on the outside of your left thigh, if you push up, it keeps the space open in the hip. And there, that's doable. Just kind of letting that left ankle dangle. Otherwise, you can let it come over, whatever's best for you there. Breathe deep. And then coming out of that, left foot down, right foot down. Let's swap. Extend the left leg, gently pulling in the right leg. Really reach through the heel, point up the toes. Breathe deep. And gently pull the leg in towards you. And the same kind of principle applies. If there's tightness in the front of the hip, if you push up into your hands, it helps to keep some space in the front of the hip. Breathe deep. So it's a really good little technique to try with lots of different stretches. Now, if you can, you're going to bring your right leg across, relaxing the left leg. Same thing applies. And it's easier for me on this one, but you might not feel much of a stretch. It's just more of a mobilization. But if you push up into the left hand, okay, there's some stretch. Breathe. And then as we slowly ease out of that, coming over onto your side to prepare to come up to standing. So as we come up to standing, final stretch into the hip. So with your weight on your left thigh, quite like the elbow on the left thigh, straightening the right leg. So from the side, weight on the left thigh. See how the left thigh is bent, the right leg straightens. So you might want the hand on the right, your hand on your right hip, and turn and see. You should get a stretch. Sometimes quite strong. Just breathe into that. If it's too strong, just come off a bit. Yeah, off a bit is good. And then it's just bend that right leg, weight on the thigh, straighten the left, hand on the left hip. Just find the stretch and breathe into it. And then bending both knees and uncurling. Inhaling, reaching up, as always, stretching up, reminding yourself as you open your arms that you are indeed a fabulous human being. And that is it for another session. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, and thank you for joining me on the recorded session. If you did that, I appreciate it.